Welcome to the You Can't Afford Me podcast, where we skip the fluff and dive straight into the grind. Real entrepreneurs, real struggles, and the unfiltered journey behind success. Let's get into it. Hey guys, thanks for joining us on another episode of the You Can't Afford Me podcast. Now, this guest we have on, if you live in the Richmond, Virginia area and you have not heard of this organization, I don't know where you've been hiding. I don't even know if I've signed up for newsletters or anything, but it seems like every newsletter I get in the Richmond area, it's got this organization's logo on it. So today we have Will from Sportable here on the show. Will, how you doing today, buddy?
Sports backers.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Whoa, I had an episode with Sportable.
I actually watched that episode.
Nice.
And a good friend organization of ours. So I'm Will with Sports Backers. I'm the executive director. We're an active living nonprofit based here in Richmond. Been around since 1991. So a long haul. I'm relatively new to the executive director role. Been here for about 8 months. But succeeding John Lugbill, who had been the ED for 32 years.
Oh, wow.
People might know us from events like the Ukrop's Monument Avenue 10K.
That's the big one.
Richmond Marathon, and coming up.
Yep.
So we do a lot of big kind of active living events, but we have a lot of community-based programs that actually a lot of people are not as familiar with.
Yeah. So how did you get into this space?
Yeah, it's dumb luck. Might be an answer. I went to James Madison, studied sport and rec management, grew up playing sports as an athlete. Kind of active living and physical activity was always kind of part of my DNA.
Nice. Also, side note, good time to be a JMU fan.
It is a good time to be a JMU fan. Got to watch JMU Midwest win the national championship a couple weeks ago. So I think 13 players from JMU had followed Signetti up to Indiana.
Oh, wow.
And part of the national championship. So that was kind of cool to see.
Yeah.
I'd like to see JMU not be a stepping stone program at some point. I love success. I love the growth. Love the enthusiasm kind of built up from the alumni. But I think there's something special there. We just got to capture it.
Yep, it's coming.
So I studied sport and rec management there. Born and raised in Richmond, so I moved back here after college and didn't really have a plan for a career.
Yeah.
Helped my dad. He owned an appliance shop at the time, so I just kind of helped out the summer after I graduated, delivering, installing appliances, and then just put feelers out in the community. I'd interned with the Richmond Kickers the summer prior.
Nice.
So knew some folks in the sports world. But Richmond sports community is different, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's well supported, and this is almost 20 years ago. So I mean, the Kickers have done some phenomenal things since then. This was pre-Squirrels, right?
Yep.
So, the Braves were around, but not really doing the thing that they could be doing to make.
I miss the Braves, though, man.
Yeah. And
don't get me wrong. I love my flying squirrels, but the Braves, that was an awesome era.
It was, but we were kind of past, we were past the Klesko, Chipper Jones days. They were just kind of around.
Yep.
And so when the Squirrels came in, I do think that was a breath of fresh air. Point being that the opportunities are somewhat limited here if you're really trying to build a career around sports. And I just kind of blindly shot an email off to John Lugbill.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, I got this degree. I'm from Richmond. I'm willing to work hard. And they weren't hiring at the time. Sports Backers wasn't hiring.
Yeah.
But he was like, we have some events that we could use some help with on the weekends. So I was like, all right. So I came out, loading, unloading trucks, set up and breakdown. I mean, just pure manual labor.
Yeah, just grunt work.
And so I did that for the fall of 2007. I was hired full-time January 2008. Really, again, with that kind of operations background and, worn a lot of hats between then and now.
So one thing I like about that is a lot of my staff here, they are here and have a full-time position because of proximity. Where they were just like, this is an industry I want to be in. I think this is a good spot. What do you need? I'll volunteer. I'll intern here. Whatever side jobs you have, and then opportunities opened up. And I'm like, well, you're already here, so let's roll forward with this.
Yep.
I want to make sure people have a clear understanding of Sports Backers and everything you guys do. So go in a little bit more on that. What are the array of services that you guys provide?
Yeah, and it's a complicated puzzle.
Yeah.
I describe it as a puzzle because there's a lot of different pieces to it, but it's all part of this ecosystem of a healthy, vibrant, active community.
Yeah.
And I won't bore you with the history of it, but our current existence is really around bringing the community together around physical activity. So that takes shape in a lot of different ways. Again, I mentioned the events. They're kind of the thing that most people know about. You're getting emails about.
Yep.
So the Ukrop's Monument Avenue 10K is the 5th largest 10K in the country.
Wow, did not know that.
Yeah, it's kind of a rite of passage a little bit if
Yeah.
you're in Richmond to take part in it.
Yeah, even people that aren't into running, like at some point, I feel like they all end up doing the 10K.
You got to do the 10K.
Yeah.
And you don't have to run it. You don't have to be a racer. You can go out there and walk it. You can walk it backwards for all we care. But
Yep.
you will get out there and I don't want to be sacrilegious here in any form or fashion, but it's almost a religious type of experience. I mean, you were going there and you feel the energy of the people around you.
It's electric. Like I remember it's been a while. It's been a while since I ran the last 10K, but I remember there are guys out there in dinosaur costumes on the street. Like I remember running by a frat house and they had a booth out there and they were giving out shots, which was a dumb move to take a shot during a 10K.
That's not a sanctioned activity.
No.
So we do big events, and we own and operate about 10 to 12 events on an annual basis, and then various kind of partnership in the event space in a variety of ways.
What are some of the other ones that everybody may not know as well as like the Monument 10K?
So the corporate run, the Markel corporate run out in Innsbruck.
Oh, okay.
We have over 200 companies, about 5,000 people come out early June.
My first corporate job in Richmond, I remember our company participated in that.
Yeah. The CarMax Tacky Light Run down in Midlothian. It's kind of this awesome Christmas holiday season of kind of parade through some pretty spectacular tacky lights in the Walton Park neighborhood in Midlothian. And I mean, that's a 5,000 person event. It's not small. Wow. I'm trying to think of some other ones. We do a Dragon Boat Festival. We do a half marathon and 5K up in Ashland. We do a half marathon and 5K that starts and stops at University of Richmond. The River City half and 5K. The Richmond Marathon in November. That also has a half marathon and 8K associated with it. So kind of things sprinkled throughout the year, largely in the running space.
Yeah.
And then Dominion Energy Riverrock is a huge outdoor sports music festival on the riverfront that we partner with Venture Richmond on. Mm-hmm. So that's all us.
Are you a runner as well? You're built like a runner. That's why I thought it.
Labels are interesting. Can I run? Yes. Do I enjoy running? Yes. Am I going to win any races anytime soon? No.
I got you.
And we can dive into my kind of passion for physical activity, but I'm not. I just have to stay active.
Yeah.
And I will go through like right now I'm in like a calisthenics phase where I'm really kind of working on body weight stuff and a little strength and flexibility. 6 months from now, I might be back in the pool swimming.
Yeah.
5 months after that, I might be on my bike out on the Capitol Trail. So
just mixing it
I
up.
Just got to keep it fresh.
Yeah, doing some different things.
Yeah.
Do you guys with the events and things like that you put on? Is there any education behind what you guys doing? Because obviously, I heard. I think it was on the Diary of a CEO, one of my favorite podcasts.
Yep.
I can't remember who the guest was, but they had a health expert on there, and he basically said, if you could put in a bottle the benefits that you get from physical activity and you put it on the shelf at Walmart or Target, it would sell for thousands of dollars.
Yep.
I think a lot of people just don't understand. And I saw somebody the other day, they were just like, I think it was a lady, she was like 80 years old. You would have sworn she was 45, 50 years old.
Yep.
And they were like, what's the secret? Like, how are you this old? She's like, hold up, baby, I'm not old. Like, old is just a number. She's like, if you stay moving. I saw Oprah Winfrey was doing dips the other day, had some weights on. I was like, Oprah looking good. Yeah. So it's just like, if you just keep your body moving, you're not going to end up being that 75-year-old man hunched over and using a cane. So what do you guys provide to the community education-wise to keep them motivated?
Yeah, I'd say the thing that first comes to mind is we have training teams associated with a lot of our events. So we have a 10K training team that meets for 10 weeks leading up to the Monument Avenue 10K at any YMCA location throughout the region, a couple other community-based locations as well. And so that's a guided program that if you can start walking a half a mile, you can finish it. You'll be able to do the 10K 10 weeks later. And so that's led by volunteer coaches that are, helping all the participants understand the importance of stretching and the kind of the mindset that it takes to achieve the goal. And then we have some resources along the way, nutrition clinics, injury prevention clinics, things like that, so that people, they're doing it intentionally, but they're kind of being guided through the process. And we do the same thing for the 8K, and then our half marathon and marathon training teams, we think are some of the largest in-person training teams in the country.
Nice.
So they each boast over 1,000 people that meet for, week in, week out, and then have a training guide for every day from day one till race day.
Yeah.
And
during the summer, you always see when I'm going through Scott's Edition, I always see those groups of people like
Saturday, Sunday morning, you can't miss them.
Yep.
And honestly, going back to your point on kind of the benefits of physical activity, that's one thing that we really stress. Whether it's running or cycling or paddling, whatever it may be, there's some value to be extracted from it.
Yeah.
And whether that's a mental health thing for you personally, for you to right your mind, if it's for longevity, and so you're able to be 80 years old and working out socially, making friends, creating bonds. Like, there's so much value to be extracted from moving.
Yeah,
you can find your people that way. You can find yourself that way, and I think that historically, if you go back a few decades, exercise was all about strength, muscle mass and weight loss. And it's like, okay, like if those are your goals, cool. Like physical activity can do that, but it is just so much deeper and broader than that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like I'm the type where I get up at 4:30 every morning. Me and my wife have 2 young kids, a 5 and a 4-year-old. So like for me, the morning time is the only time I can get the workout. Yeah. And I like it because number one, once the day gets started, my phone doesn't stop ringing, social media notifications, emails, texts, phone calls. You have so many distractions throughout the day. But having that 1 hour every single morning that's just for me, where I know nobody's calling me at 5 a.m. Like, I know I can stay completely focused. And the days where, I have a busy morning and I end up having to skip the gym or something, I notice me just being off a little bit. Like, my mind isn't as clear. I'm working in creative space, so like my mind always has to be sharp. And I just always notice that something's a little off with that when I don't get those workouts in.
Yeah, and it's amazing how quick that can happen too. And if you're paying attention to it, you'll notice it. And I think it's one of kind of the paradoxes of physical activity is that even if you don't see the results you're looking for, if you stop doing it and you're actually looking for it, you'll realize like, oh, this actually was doing a ton for me.
1,000%. And I'll go back and look. Like, me and my wife got, from the time we dated to, being married and having kids, like, my wife was never really a gym rat.
Yep. Neither am I, by the way.
Yeah.
The gym's not my spot.
Yeah, you're the outdoor dude.
Yeah.
But during COVID, like, first off, she was pregnant basically all through COVID. Wasn't anything else to do. It's time to make babies.
That's right.
And nobody told me when you become a new dad and your wife's pregnant that you're also going to put on the extra pounds. Like, when she's like, hey, it'd be real nice if I had a Dairy Queen Blizzard right now. You can't just come back with one. You got to have one as well, too. So we were both packing on the pounds during her pregnancy. And we just woke up one morning and I was like, man, I got to make this change. And I just took the lead on that, and she saw me start going to the gym. She's like, maybe I should do that. Now it's like medicine to her. Yep. Like, she's a stay-at-home mom, so like when I get home and it's been a stressful day with the kids, she's like, I gotta go to the gym. Like, I gotta get out here. I gotta burn some steam. So if people really truly understand, and it's not like what you said, the media is always portrayed just like with the weight loss and the muscle mass and things like that, but people don't understand just how beneficial walking is.
Oh yeah.
Like, I've read this in an article probably years ago. After a meal, now it's like ice all over the place, so I'm not doing it now. But like normally after I have my lunch here, I'll go for a 10-minute walk around the block. I'll book a phone call with the client and I'll just take a walk. And just what that helps with your digestion, taking a 10-minute walk and burning those calories. Like, you're not out there sweating and moving.
Yep, that's absolutely right. And so I'm going to piggyback on that to kind of talk a little bit about other things that sports backers that we're involved in, because you got the Capitol Trail right outside your door.
Oh, it's gorgeous over here.
So I imagine when the weather's a little nicer, it's not covered in ice, you're out there all the time.
Every day.
And so there's another kind of program of ours called Bike Walk RVA that is fully focused on bike and pedestrian safety, but then kind of the subset of that is street design and infrastructure. So we have a signature project called the Throughline Trail that's going to start in Ashland, end in Petersburg. So a 43-mile long trail.
Nice.
Connects 2 HBCUs, connects 350,000 people within, I think it's a mile on either side of the Throughline corridor, almost 100 public institutions, so elementary, middle, high schools. It's a phenomenal project that I think will be transformative in how people are able to recreate, but then also in equitable transportation, economic development opportunities, and like again, it's all just piggybacking. It's one other piece of that puzzle of how can we encourage people to use more active transportation and take advantage of what they have around them and shape a community around the opportunity to move freely, move safely.
Absolutely.
And kind of get the health benefits along with that.
Yeah, that's one thing I've noticed over the last few years. I'm not originally from Richmond. I've been here now close to 20 years. But all the bike paths, the trails, even the bike lanes now on like major roads and things like that.
Yeah, and it takes good design. I mean, I'm not trying to put my head in the sand on this. We've had 8 pedestrian deaths in the last month here in the Richmond region, and it's a problem.
Yeah,
and I think that what we're working towards is a shared understanding that these crashes, these fatalities are preventable.
Yeah,
but we are all human. Whether you're walking, you're cycling, you're driving a car, we are all human. We all make mistakes.
Yep.
But good design of the streets and giving people safe places to walk and to cycle and to drive
prevents a lot of that.
Down, it's preventable.
Yeah.
And so we have a kind of a whole advocacy effort around both policy and community organizing and education around that to help move the region forward on that front.
What is the rule? This is a good time. I've always wanted this. I don't know why I haven't just ChatGPT'd it or Google it. When I was growing up, when you were riding a bike, you were supposed to be on the sidewalk.
Yeah.
Now it seems like what is the rule with that?
Cyclists are actually encouraged to ride in the road. That's where they're safest because the sidewalk is narrow.
Yeah.
You have more blind kind of intersection crossings.
Businesses, somebody may come out of a building or something.
That's exactly right. And there's more conflict with pedestrians as well on the sidewalk. So bikes belong in the road. The roads are for all of us.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, the logical side of me is like, if I'm I drive an F-150. If I'm pushing a 2,000-pound steel machine, like the onus is on me to make sure that I'm keeping everybody else safe. Like,
absolutely.
Does that mean that pedestrians are perfect? No. Does it mean cyclists are perfect? No. But like, if they hit me, I'm not dying. I'm okay. If I hit them, as a driver, so I actually talk about it with my kids all the time while I'm driving around, and we might see poor pedestrian behavior or poor driver behavior, and I'll be like, just kind of call out the situation for what it is and be like, is it going to slow me down 30 seconds if I get behind a cyclist and have to wait to be able to pass them safely?
Yeah.
Maybe. But
that's my biggest pet peeve with Richmond drivers. Like, people flying around, bro, and then you end up at the same spot. We're all going to end up at the same stoplight in 2 seconds. Relax.
A breath and a little bit of patience goes a long way and honestly could save a life.
Absolutely. Let's talk about your journey to executive director. So I've served on the board for probably 3 or 4 nonprofits at this point. So I know what the role of an executive director is. And the fact that you guys are so event heavy, first off, people need to understand putting on events is not an easy task whatsoever. So the fact that you guys have so many a year actually blows my mind. Like, the Monument 10K on its own is its own beast. But there are clients that we work with them on their marketing production and things for their events each year. And the second they're done with one, I'm talking to the guys who run the Corn Ferry Tour for the PGA.
Oh, yeah.
The second it's over, they're planning next year. And that's all they focus on the entire year. So I'm interested, how are you guys, what's the size of the staff? How are you guys managing all this?
So we have a staff of about 25.
Oh, okay.
Now, I haven't even touched on 3 or 4 of the other programs we have. So dedicated really to the events is probably a staff of 6. And then we all pitch in, right? I mean, any nonprofit, you've been involved with nonprofits, you wear a lot of different hats and you have to. I often joke, and this isn't to toot my own horn, but at 4 a.m. on 10K day, I'll be on a forklift driving around, getting stuff set up. You wear hats.
Yep.
So, but yeah, multitasking I think is a bit of a fallacy, but you have to be able to manage multiple projects that are in different kind of stages of the life cycle at the same time.
Yeah.
So we just have a phenomenal team that's able to do that at a really high level, and we're fortunate to have a community around us that actually they want to be involved. Right?
Yeah.
So if you're looking for a new sponsor, it's a lot easier when they're calling you saying, "Hey, we're looking to get involved with something in the community.
Yep.
How can we work together?" Right? That's a lot easier than cold calling 100 people and hoping that you land a couple of them.
Absolutely.
So, I think that we are incredibly blessed to be in Richmond and have a community of doers that want to be involved. I think that, again, going back to the benefits of physical activity and how it can benefit everybody, it's a really good platform to get various messages across and engage in different ways. But yeah, I mean, it's registration for next year's marathon and the 10K actually will open the day after this year's race.
Oh, wow.
So I mean, it is constantly cycling through based on the date and where you are in the year. So it takes dedication. And you have to enjoy the work.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's true for any nonprofit professional.
For sure.
Because it can be a grind.
Yeah. Oh, no doubt. I want to get back to your climb to the executive director level, but another thought just came to mind. I'm really interested in how you guys crafted the brand. So, like, to me, Sports Backers is one of those names that's synonymous with, your staples of Richmond, like your Mama J's and your Flying Squirrel. Like, people look at Sports Backers. Like, I've almost seen it as a national brand every time it's come across. It's just like, that's a logo that everybody recognizes. And I know, how long you say you've been in the executive director role?
8 months.
8 months. So obviously that role is something fairly new for you, but it sounds like you've been along for a good part of this journey. From your experience coming in and just being a kid that's trying to get around it and lifting heavy boxes and trying to get involved, what's your opinion or thought on how this brand has been able to sustain, and more importantly, how has it continued to grow the way it has?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think we are able to sustain because the work's very intentional. We lay out a plan. I mean, it's well governed by a really strong and involved board.
Yeah.
We have strategic plans and roadmaps to get us to to where we want to go. Again, I'll give credit to the community that it takes donors, it takes sponsors, it takes participants, it takes people that want to engage with us to actually be able to grow. And I think that we try not. We don't feel the need to take credit for everything that we do.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's almost like an open source sort of environment where, if there's opportunity for collaboration, we love to collaborate.
Yeah.
And it's okay if we don't get the credit for it. So I think that, it's almost like a bit of a flywheel of, if you do good for others, good will come back to you.
Yeah.
And so, it's definitely a mindset that we have.
There's definitely a level of humbleness that you see with the brand.
I hope so.
Yeah.
And honestly, I hope
that's the way it's come across to me.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, I've learned over the last handful of months that sitting in the executive director role, you have to take credit for some things that you don't deserve credit for.
Yeah.
That people around you are doing. And so, I think leading with gratitude and understanding that, none of this happens alone is just kind of a good mindset to have.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about this climb to executive director. So from being some broke college kid, just wanting to be around so that was in 2007.
That's right.
So then you took on the role of executive director in 2025.
That's right.
Talk to us about that journey. Like, how did you climb the ladder and decide that this was the place you wanted to remain long term?
Yeah, that was never the goal,
Yeah.
right? Like, the goal was never to climb the ladder. The goal was to be exposed to new opportunities and to continue to just develop as a person, right, as an individual. And I'll give a ton of credit to John, my predecessor, and other managers and coworkers I've had over the years that within a relatively small organization, I mean, I was the 11th or 12th employee, I think, when I was hired. A lot of opportunities were presented to me, and all I had to do was step through the door. Right?
Yeah.
All I had to do was say, yep, this is something that I want to learn more about or I want to get more involved in. So, but they had to present the opportunities to me to some extent. So, every opportunity that was given to me, whether it was, all right, you want to start answering all the emails that come to the office when people have an issue with their 10K registration, or answering the phone, or getting more involved in event development, I was like, yep. I mean, I didn't have experience in customer service. I didn't have experience in event operations, but I just kept on stepping through that door. And that eventually made its way over to the kind of corporate partnership world. So sponsorship, not sales, but really fulfillment.
Yeah.
And I think, to John's credit and others, it was recognized that you could dovetail the two, right? Knowing how the events operate is actually really important for knowing how a sponsor could best show up at that event.
Yep.
And so I got into the sponsorship side, and then you mentioned the Corn Ferry Tour and the guys at the PGA here. So Jeff Fitch, who's with the PGA Tour, he was my director. He was the director of sponsorship and development at Sports Backers. He was there for 10 years. So I had the opportunity to work under Jeff. Jeff's a heck of a salesperson. He's a passionate individual.
Your episode's probably dropping. I have him coming on in a couple of weeks, so your episode will probably drop right before his.
Yeah, Jeff's a good one. So I learned a lot from him, and so being surrounded by really talented, passionate people that kind of brought me along, and all I had to be was a bit of a fly on the wall and just absorb stuff.
But you were open and willing for all these opportunities.
Yeah, and interested, right? Yeah. And I think that one of the things I've learned as I look back on my career is that no matter how big or small of an organization you ought to be fulfilled, right? Like fulfillment is key.
Absolutely.
And I don't care if you're making $20,000 a year or $200,000 a year. Like you need to be fulfilled in what you're doing.
Absolutely.
And believe in the work that you're doing. So I've been fortunate to kind of have both, right?
Yeah.
And so I got into the sponsorship side, then got into the fundraising, which was really more focused on some of the other programs that we do outside of the events. At the end of the day, John, who had been in the organization for 32 years, was ready to hang up the running shoes. Though I know he's still paddling and running and mountain biking and doing all the things that John's passionate about. That opportunity to throw my name in the hat to interview for the role came about, and I was like, this is another door I'm going to step through.
Yep. That's awesome. That's awesome. I love that. On that topic, I want to kind of debunk this now. I'm not asking you to divulge your full-time salary or anything like that, but I think people just in general, because when you talk about passion and fulfillment, I think there are a lot of people that would love to work in the nonprofit space, but a lot of them have this preconceived notion that if you work in a nonprofit, you're not going to make any money. Yeah. So if you can kind of speak to like the opportunities, not necessarily just at Sports Backers, but for nonprofits in general, I want people to understand that you can do something that you're passionate about, you can give back to the community, and you can earn a livable wage.
You can make a living, And I mean, I'm going to get some numbers wrong here, but there's all sorts of studies around, where money goes from essential to providing a level of psychological comfort to really excess. Yeah. And that number is not as high as some people might think. I think the last I saw might have been like $70,000 a year or something. Like,
that's where my head went. I think it was like 70 to 90K or something like that.
Yeah. And so like anything beyond that is not going to bring you happiness. It's not going to bring you fulfillment. Yeah. So just starting there, I mean, I'll say the nonprofit sector has to be more diligent and more kind of frugal with their funds, because they're limited, and I mean everybody's limited to some extent, but I will say, and one of the things I really value about Sports Backers is that if you want to keep good people around, you need to invest in them.
Absolutely.
And that can take a lot of forms. It can take a lot. It doesn't have to all be monetary compensation, right?
Yeah.
It can be personal growth and professional growth.
Absolutely.
We take a lot of pride in actually having a lot of our staff serve on other nonprofit boards. So, which again, that brings fulfillment and professional development and personal development in a way that's outside of the kind of the monetary gain.
Yeah.
We like to have a really flexible workforce where, you got a kid sick at home, like stay home with your family.
Yeah.
Right? So you might not get that in corporate America.
Absolutely.
Everywhere. You might in some places, and I'm not knocking corporate America, but, so you kind of have to find ways to check other boxes for your employees, but also be willing to invest in them to keep them around. I think our average tenure on our staff it's probably come down a little bit because we've just hired some new people, but it was somewhere in the neighborhood of 10 or 11 years, which in the nonprofit community is
I mean, across the board,
Yeah.
for profit or nonprofit, to keep team members for 10 plus years, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That says a lot about the culture you guys have developed.
I hope so. And,
Yeah.
and honestly, that's one of the things that I'm hoping to maintain and kind of grow on as I step into this role. It's, again, I'm going to go back to sports and the power of physical activity, but like, you have those shared experiences when you're out there on Broad Street at 4 a.m.
Oh, yeah.
Setting up barricade and getting ready for the marathon. It doesn't matter what the weather is. You're
Yeah.
out there,
Yep.
and you're going through this grind together. You're going through this struggle together. Like, you build bonds that way, and I think that's the power of sport and kind of team mentality in a lot of ways. That, like, these people are my friends, and
Yeah.
they were all at my wedding a few months ago.
Nice.
There's a sense of like, we got this.
Yeah.
That I actually think goes a long way.
100%. Hearing you talk and the way you run the organization, like effective leaders to me are ones that lead by showing, not by speaking or sitting behind a big desk. So like, I mean, that says wonders. Like, I always wanted that when I grew my organization. Is everybody here on this staff has seen me do whatever job they have. They know I've done it, and I've done it way longer than they have. And there's nothing here I'm not willing to do. If the trash is full, yeah, we got a cleaning service. But if the trash is full, sometimes the president has to take out the trash.
Trash got to be taken out.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. So it's those basic things, but your leadership style sounds like that's a big part of like what's going on there.
Yeah, and it's interesting as we've gotten bigger and we've developed new programs. I'm not the expert in these other programs.
Yeah.
Again, talking about the bike and pedestrian infrastructure, like, I'm not the expert on it.
Yeah.
Do I believe in it? 100%. Do I understand how it fits into a healthy, vibrant, active community? 100%. But Brantley Tyndall, our director of Bike Walk RVA, was National Bike Advocate of the Year a few years ago.
Jeez.
Like, he's one of the best in the country at it.
Yeah.
So I'm learning more from Brantley than he's learning from me on the subject matter, right?
Yep.
So my job is somehow, to some level, is to give him what he needs to be successful.
Get out the way.
And then get out the way.
Yep.
And so, it's that balance of, kind of leadership by example, but also knowing what I don't know.
Absolutely.
And kind of helping others around me be as successful as they can be.
Absolutely. As we wrap up, I want to see what are the opportunities that you guys have for people. If someone wants to volunteer, they want to sponsor, like, what are some of the options how people can get involved with you guys?
Yeah, I'll make sure you throw my email address in the show notes or something, because it's an exhaustive list. I mean, it is everything from passing out water on a race course to throwing a medal around people's neck as they cross a finish line, which is just a ton of fun.
Yep.
To leading free group fitness classes in more vulnerable communities throughout the region, or stepping up as a community leader to advocate for enhanced safety. We have 75 run clubs and fitness clubs in elementary schools throughout the region that include about 3,000 kids that come out in the spring and the fall, and they're learning all about physical activity and getting active on a weekly basis, all led by volunteer coaches.
Yeah.
And again, when I go back to the support of the community, it is individual people that are like, yep, this is how I want to get involved, and how, all they need to do is bring their passion, and we'll provide the rest.
Love it. Man, this has been, I've learned way more about sports backers than I even realized. And that's the crazy thing, is like, you see a brand all the time. That's why I love having these discussions. Is like, a lot of times people just don't know what they don't know. Yeah. Like their brand names around the area. Like, even if you look at like legend like the YMCA or something like that, everybody just thinks like, oh, they just have gyms. Like, no, the YMCA does a lot more than that piece. So I think it's good for people to get this understanding. I'm going to
interrupt you on one
point
real quick. Have you talked to Jody Alexander? Do you know her at the Y?
No.
So she's been in the CEO role for the Greater Richmond YMCA for I don't know, a handful of months, maybe a couple of years now. She's phenomenal. She's doing some awesome things with the Y, so maybe somebody to consider talking to.
Oh yeah, for sure. I normally end this podcast with a question. I want to ask a different question of you. Being in this role now for 8 months, over the course, let's fast forward to the end of 2026. What do you want in terms of your role, your leadership style, the things that you're doing for sports backers? What's your main goal this year for sports backers? Oh, I stumped him.
He didn't stump me, but it's I have conversations like this a fair amount, not necessarily in the podcast format.
Yeah.
And I'm your response of like, oh, I've learned so much. I didn't know sports backers did free fitness classes and youth running clubs and advocacy around bike pedestrian infrastructure. I knew the 10K is an incredibly common refrain.
Yeah.
I hear that all the time. And I think that's okay to some extent.
Yeah.
But I think that if people knew that there were a lot of different ways that they themselves could contribute to the health of our community, that we'd bring more people into our circle.
Absolutely.
And at the end of the day, I think that going back to kind of what made sports bear successful to an extent is this mindset of growing the pie and not just getting our slice of it. So, I want to find new collaboration opportunities. I actually think that the messaging of what we do kind of more holistically, as opposed to we do run clubs and we do fitness clubs and we do events and kind of having these things in silos.
Yeah.
I really want to define what that impact is across the board for us to be able to kind of scream that from the rooftops.
Love that. Love that. As soon as we cut the mic off, I think I got a couple connections for you. Well, this has been awesome, man. If people want to learn more about sports backers, they want to get in contact with you or your team, how can they reach out to you guys?
Sportsbackers.org. We're on all the socials, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. We actually have a weekly podcast ourselves,
Nice.
On the Move, hosted by our two just phenomenally dynamic women on our staff, Nan and Cameron. So, we're out there, right? Sign up for our newsletters. We'll send them to you.
Good stuff. Yeah. Love it, man. Appreciate you being here today.
No, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. We'll see you guys on the next episode. Boom. That was awesome, dude.
Yeah, that was great.
Have you